The National League champion St. Louis Cardinals against the American League champion Minnesota Twins in the 1987 World Series. The Homer Hankies out in force, saluting the Minnesota Twins as they just took the field. Get ready for a little bit of noise in the Metrodome. There is absolutely no place like home. More than a 727. Forget the decibel meter, get the Richter scale.
You got to be physical to watch a game here.
Whew. Now we know what sound feels like. The 1987 World Series. There's no place like home. The Humphrey Metrodome in Minneapolis was the most hospitable home in the majors this year as the Twins compiled baseball's best home record there. As the '87 World Series began, here's how we saw it shaping up. And over 54,000 filling the Metrodome in downtown Minneapolis. Game one of the World Series, the St. Louis Cardinals, the Minnesota Twins. I'm Al Michaels, and first let's begin with the Minnesota Twins, who tonight become the first team in the history of baseball to go into the World Series having been outscored during the regular season. They were outscored, they were out-hit in terms of average, they were out-homered, the opposition had more stolen bases, and they were out-pitched in terms of earned run average. They were out everything, except at this point, there are 13 teams in the American League that are out of the World Series, and the Minnesota Twins are in. As I turn to Tim McCarver, people want to know, how did the Minnesota Twins win the American League pennant?
Well, you told me to go figure it out a little while ago, so I decided to do that. Even though the Minnesota Twins won only 85 ball games, which was, by the way, the lowest of the divisional championship teams, they took charge the latter part of August. As a matter of fact, from the last part of August to the last part of September, they were 18-9, and they just obliterated the Detroit Tigers in the American League Championship Series, winning 4 out of 5 with near-perfect baseball. And speaking of perfection, that's exactly what the Cardinals had the first half of the year. They were 9.5 in front of Montreal and the Mets in the middle of July. It was dwindled to a game and a half in early September. They hung on, and I guess you could say they are limp and lame, but because of their pitching and their deep pitching staff, 5 left-handers, 4 right-handers, they are, I think, a bit of an edge in the series so far.
And Whitey Herzog able to add an extra pitcher, Lee Tunnell, Jack Clark in effect on the disabled list. And on the subject of pitching, who better to tell us about that and the difference between the way these two staffs are set up than Jim Palmer?
Well, contrasting what Jimmy said, one of the weaknesses that the Minnesota Twins has is in the depth of their starting pitching. And that's something you really can't hide over 162 games, but you can do it in a playoff or a World Series. The two guys they're going to rely on are Blyleven and Viola. Viola will pitch tonight. You'll see the record, 45 and 28 in games they started, and you can see the records of the other starters. Now also, another thing that's very important, earned run average of Viola and Blyleven about 3.5 runs, the rest of the pitching staff about 5.5. So, and the Cardinals have great depth, as Tim said. I favor the Twins only because of the injury to Terry Pendleton. He had such a great year, they're going to miss him offensively. He might hit a little bit left-handed, but they will miss his glove at third.
And tonight in Game 1 of the World Series, the pitching matchup, a rookie against a veteran, first-year man Joe McGrain against Frank Viola. This would be baseball's first ever indoor World Series game, and the dizzying heights of the dome presented some unique ground rules for managers Tom Kelly and Whitey Herzog.
The speakers in foul territory, always a foul ball, but they could be caught. Okay, now the ceiling, just say for something, a ball hits the ceiling over here and bounces that way, it's still going to be a foul ball.
If it hits foul, it's been made.
Yeah, but it could be caught.
Yeah, it could be caught.
The Cardinals were operating under the further handicap of injuries to starters Jack Clark and Terry Pendleton. So the team would have to dig in and hope players like Tony Pena would take up the slack in Whitey Herzog's injury-riddled lineup with their bats as well as with their gloves. As the players were introduced, the roar of the crowd was evidence that the Twins fans knew their 22-year wait for a second World Series was now over. The excitement could be felt by home team and visiting team alike. And linking this event with the 1965 World Series was Hall of Famer Harmon Killebrew, a mainstay of the '65 team that lost to the Dodgers in 7 games. Twin starter Frank Viola opened the series facing the fleet Vince Coleman, who wasted no time in laying down a bunt. Coleman was nipped at first, and the series was officially underway. Shortstop Ozzie Smith was next, and Viola dispatched him on strikes for the second out. The left-hander got Tommy Herr on a comebacker to retire the side in order. And at the start of Game 1, the veteran Viola looked well-tuned. The Cardinals hoped their somewhat less seasoned pitcher, 23-year-old Joe McGrain, would strike a similar note. And he did just that, getting Dan Gladden on a ground out, then striking out Greg Gagne for the second out of the inning. He then got Kirby Puckett on a nice play by Tommy Herr, and both sides had opened this 84th World Series by going down in order. With Jack Clark scratched from the roster due to an ankle injury, rookie Jim Lindemann had the unenviable task of filling in at first and batting cleanup. He led off the second with a bloop to center that Kirby Puckett couldn't quite get to, and he was on with a double. Viola now had a man at second who was looking to move up a base or two. Willie McGee came up and did his part, hitting the ball deep enough to center for Lindemann to advance to third base. Herzog now had an opportunity to break into the lead when catcher Tony Pena came to the plate. Lindemann at third. One down, and the 3-2 pitch is grounded to Gagne, and Gagne looked home and then opts to go to first. So he was in that deep in position where he had the option, but he felt the ball was just a bit too slowly hit to come home. But some hometown magic was beginning to stir in the Dome. McGrain had looked wild in the second and third innings, issuing 3 walks but escaping unscathed. In the fourth, Gary Gaetti led off with a shot to Tom Lawless at third. Gaetti beat the throw, and the Twins had their leadoff man on. Then designated hitter Don Baylor came to the plate. Baylor hits it up the middle for a base hit. Gaetti takes a short turn at second as the throw comes in behind him. And get ready for a little bit of noise in the Metrodome. Ripped into center for a base hit in front of McGee. Rennick will hold Gaetti at third, and they're loaded with nobody out. Tom Brunansky's single had loaded the bases with nobody out, and that brought one of the genuine hometown favorites to the plate, Minneapolis native Kent Hrbek. Toward the middle, through for a base hit. Gaetti scores. Baylor scores. Brunansky goes to third. The ball hits him. Bounds away, backed up by McGrain. Hrbek goes to second. With 2 runs in, Whitey Herzog called for pitcher Bob Forsch in relief, but the hometown crowd was calling for more. The din caused McGrain to plug his ears, while Bob Forsch on in relief tried to plug a leaking dike, and Tim Laudner hoped to crack it open. The 0-1 pitch is grounded to right for a base hit. Brunansky scores. Hrbek stops at third. They're still loaded, and it's 3-1. Then Dan Gladden stepped in. Manager Tom Kelly knew that Gladden wasn't much of a long ball threat. Bob Forsch knew it too, and at this moment, many were thinking sacrifice fly. Gladden's slam was the first in World Series competition since 1970 and was only the 13th in series history. The exultant crowd in the dome waved their homer hankies and roared their approval, hailing the jubilant Gladden for his dramatic grand slam. And just like that, the dike had broken open and the Cardinals were trailing 7-1. Viola then settled in and was magnificent the rest of the way. He got the Cardinals out on a variety of ground balls to the infield, spiced with an occasional strikeout. And when he came out of the game in the ninth with a 10-1 lead, he offered congratulations to his newlywed brother. Keith Atherton came on in relief of Viola in the ninth. Gaetti will end it on a nice play. Amid the noise, there had been plenty of runs and glory to share as the Twins resoundingly opened the 1987 World Series with a 10-1 triumph that featured an unlikely hero.
Tried to hold my emotions a little bit. Thought about putting my flap down like Jeffrey Leonard, but thought twice about that.
This is the biggest day in the Viola family, as I think the whole country knows by now. My brother got married this afternoon, and I think it was the best wedding gift he could have had, and it just topped off the day.
In Game 2, the Minnesota fans were looking for more high-scoring action to go with the dome crowd noise. Manager Tom Kelly looked his hitters over prior to the game. And they must have looked good. But looking tougher, especially for the visiting Cards, was the difficulty following a ball hit in the air. With the light-colored dome as a background, not to mention 55,000 screaming fans waving white hankies, a ball can easily get misplaced up there and end up on the ground. The previous day's parade of Twins runs was now history. And on this day, it was up to starter Bert Blyleven to keep the Cardinals from getting a parade of their own started. In the early going, he did just that. And when he struck out Jose Oquendo to end the second, it looked like a pitcher's duel was in the offing and that there might not be any kind of parade today. St. Louis starter Danny Cox had retired the first 4 Twins when he faced Gary Gaetti. To deep left field, and Gaetti has hit it out. The home cooking was on the fire again as Gaetti's blast ignited the Metrodome crowd into a hankied frenzy. The hard-hitting third baseman had put the Twins into the lead, and that was a good sign. Then in the 4th inning, all signs pointed to the Twins padding that lead. Though Whitey was giving different signals. The bases were loaded with Twins. Kirby Puckett was at third base. Ken Herbeck was at second. Gary Gaetti was at first, and designated hitter Randy Bush was at the plate. Whack down into the corner, and that will score Puckett. It will score Herbeck, and the Twins lead 3-0. Once again, the thunder under the dome erupted, and once again, the Cardinals must have been wondering just who were these guys driving in all these runs. Tom Kelly seemed to know that any one of his players could come through when called upon. Even Tim Laudner, his catcher who had hit a meager 190 during the regular season. For the second game in a row, the Twins were exploding with a big 4th inning that featured some more unlikely heroes and a close play at the plate.
Great slide enables him to get around Tony Pena. The throw is on the money. Look at the slide. Back edge.
Dan Gladden kept things going with a single that scored Tom Brunansky. And after giving up 6 runs, including 5 in this inning so far, Danny Cox was gone. But the Twins weren't done yet. Greg Gagne slicing double drove in one more run, making a total of 6 in the inning and a score of 7-0. All the Cardinals could muster off Blyleven up to this point was complaining about his motion. Frank Viola knows that happiness is a big lead, especially when covered by the Terminator, Jeff Reardon. Grounded to Herbeck. The Twins are halfway to the title.
Hitting's contagious, and we spent all year long picking each other up. One guy's not swinging good, the other one picks a guy up, and so forth all the way down the line. And we've been swinging the bats pretty decent. I'm not trying to do anything different. Trying to go up to the plate, get a good pitch, and try to put a good swing on it, and try to relax at the plate a little bit.
I couldn't stop him. You know, I went out there, I tried my best to stop him, but it didn't work. And you know, you got to tip your hats to him and come out. We got to go out there Tuesday and take it to him.
It's gonna be a different story at their park, and like I said, I'm sure they're gonna be shooting for us, and we're just gonna try to be ready and just fight fire with fire.
So the series moved from its Minnesota home to its St. Louis home. On the afternoon before Game 3, Cardinal fans were roused by St. Louis native Chuck Berry's inimitable style of rock and roll, with a bit of help from one Fred Bird.
Give me a C! Give me an A! Give me an R! Give me a D! Give me an S! Give me Redbirds! Give me a winner! Gotta close our show. Just can't play no more. Yeah, we gotta go.
Chairman of the board and president of the St. Louis Cardinals, Mr. August A. Busch Jr.
The Cardinals were hosting their 15th World Series, and Augie Busch, as always, got the proceedings started. The starting pitchers in this game would be 28-year-old rookie Les Straker for the Twins, and for the Cardinals, their ace, John Tudor, who was coming off a shutout against the Giants in the LCS. Ozzie Smith got the evening off to a flying start with his patented flip. And the St. Louis fans were ready to help welcome their team back home. John Tudor quickly made himself at home by doing what he does so well, using off-speed pitches and keeping runners off the bases. It was the kind of performance from Tudor that you would expect. Not so expected, however, was the performance of Les Straker, who was surprisingly effective, matching Tudor frame for scoreless frame. It was a genuine pitcher's duel through 5 innings, but in the top of the 6th, Greg Gagne drew a walk and was followed to the plate by Kirby Puckett. And he loses him, so Puckett goes to first base. The Twins have runners at first and second with 1 out, and Gary Gaetti coming up. And he pops it up in foul territory. Pena coming all the way to the lip of the dugout, and he makes the catch. And it's still in play, so down to third, alertly goes Gagne. But what a catch by Pena.
A superb play by Gagne, taking nothing for granted, tagging up and moving to third base. We'll see how important a play that is with Brunansky hitting now.
They're as alive as they have been at Busch Stadium tonight. Broken bat, looper to right center, base hit. And that scores Gagne. And moving to third is Puckett. So they break Brunansky's back, does Tudor, and he comes through with a base hit to make it 1-0. Then, in a much-discussed move, Kelly brought on Juan Berenguer in relief of Straker in the 7th. Straker had pitched 6 innings of shutout ball, and Berenguer promptly gave up hits to Jose Oquendo and Tony Pena. Terry Pendleton then pinch hit for Tudor.
Another thing about Pendleton, too, he's got the pulled rib muscles left side. He can swing left-handed, he can't swing right-handed, and I asked him about running, and he said it hurts, and it particularly hurts when he starts to run. Oquendo at second, Pena at first. He lays it down. It is a beauty, and he is out at first, probably only because he's not as fast as he normally would be. But he gets the runners over. So Herzog is able to advance the runners on Pendleton's bunt, and Vince Coleman now, who's drawn a blank. He's 0 for 3 and 1 for 11 in the series. Infield up at first and third, back at short and second. All he needs is a fly ball. He had only one though all season. He grounds it fair for a base hit. Oquendo scores. Pena scores. The Cardinals lead 2-1.
So the speedster who had missed the '85 series after a freak accident had caused a leg injury drove in the first 2 Cardinal runs. He'd score the third himself, and the Cards led 3-1 going into the ninth. Now the St. Louis fans had a chance to roar as Todd Worrell faced Randy Bush.
To right field. Ford is there. Cards with it.
So back in their own park, the Cardinals prevailed 3-1 with a win going to Tudor and a save going to Worrell. It was the Cardinals' first World Series victory since Game 4 of the '85 series, and for Vince Coleman it was especially sweet.
Well, in 1985, it was like a big pill to swallow. Having no input into the World Series this year, you know, it's a dream come true. You know, most guys get to play this in the league for 15 to 20 years and never have the opportunity to be in the World Series. And here it is, my 3rd year and second chance, being able to get on base and to do something productively for our ball club to win when we was down 2-0. And, you know, that's something that I always cherish and I can look back on and, you know, and gloat over for the rest of my life.
Now down only 2 games to 1 and in friendly environs, things looked better for the Cardinals. They had 25-year-old Greg Matthews on the mound, and making his second start of the series for the Twins was Frank Viola. After 2 scoreless innings, Greg Gagne led off for the Twins in the third. The shortstop, who had hit only 10 home runs all season, got the Twins on the scoreboard with a shot off Matthews. The Twins knew now, at least, that they could hit the ball out of a park other than the Metrodome, even if it took their shortstop to do it. But this was still Busch Stadium, where they preferred unlikely TV stars to wear red. Tom Lawless came to the plate in the fourth with nobody out and Tony Pena on third and Jose Oquendo at first. With the count 0-1, Frank Viola delivered the pitch.
High drive to deep left field. Black goes all the way back at the fence. It's off. It's gone.
The most irregular of the Cardinal irregulars, Lawless had only 25 at-bats during the season and had not hit a home run since 1984, and that was the only other one he had ever hit. Now he had nailed a 3-run shot off Viola to give the Cards a 4-1 lead. They would add 3 more runs in their own big fourth inning and took a 7-2 lead going into the ninth. Ken Daly had come on in relief of Bob Forrest in the 7th and now faced Kirby Puckett in the ninth.
To Smith, and the World Series is a best of 3.
Daly had been superb in relief, squelching a twin threat in the 7th and holding them in check the rest of the way. But the hero tonight was Tom Lawless.
When I hit it, I knew I hit it good, but I didn't know whether it was out. But being with guys on first and third, I didn't run because I knew if they catch it, I can't pass up Jose anyways at first. So then I saw it hit the back of the wall, and I said, holy cow, the ball went out. And I guess I saw the replay. I flipped my bat and I just went blank there for a second because this never happened to me before, and I'm just happy for us and for the team and myself.
Game 5 began as a mound duel between the two starting pitchers. Danny Cox was back on the mound for the Cardinals, and he seemed to have regained the form that had deserted him in Game 2. Bert Blyleven started for the Twins, and he was equally effective in the early innings. In the bottom of the third, the Cards threatened with men at second and third, but Jose Oquendo was thrown out at the plate. In the fifth, Oquendo was at third base again, but another Cardinal threat went by the boards when he was hung up by catcher Tim Laudner on an unsuccessful squeeze play, and the game remained scoreless. Finally, in the sixth, the vaunted Cardinal running game shifted into high gear. Vince Coleman, who had stolen 4 bases in the first 4 games, beat out an infield grounder to lead off the inning. And now the Cardinal fans would see the type of running game they love. With Coleman and Smith running wild on the bases, Curt Ford came up. And he hits that one into center field to score Coleman. Here comes Smith. The throw is going to third. He's safe there, 2-0. Is grounded to Gagne, who drops it, boots it, and 1 run scores to make it 3-0. Tom Kelly saw his team facing a 3rd straight loss that would put them perilously close to expiration. But the Twins weren't giving anything away just yet. In the 8th, singles by Dan Gladden and Greg Gagne drove Cox from the game. Going into the 8th, he had given up just 3 hits and no runs, and an appreciative crowd saluted him. Herzog then brought on left-hander Ken Daly to face Kent Hrbek. Hrbek had been having nothing but trouble with lefties, going 0 for his last 15 against them. Herzog's strategy paid off, as Hrbek could only manage a fly ball to center. Now Gaetti, now Herzog, now Worrell. With the right hand hitting Gary Gaetti at the plate, Herzog continued to play the percentages by bringing on right-hander Todd Worrell. To center field and deep, very deep. McGee goes all the way back, leaps and has it. And then it comes out of his glove, so it's in play, and Gaetti winds up at third. It looked like Willie was going to be able to come up with the ball, and all of a sudden it came loose. 2 runs were in, and the Cardinal lead was cut in half, but no further runs would score as Tom Brunansky flied to center, stranding Gaetti at third. Down 2 runs heading into the 9th, the Twins might have wished that they, like Dorothy from Oz, could escape from the broom and go home. Sweep is the chant we heard in Minnesota the other night, and we're hearing it now in St. Louis. And this series has been a home sweep so far. But the Twins still weren't admitting defeat. With 2 out of the top of the 9th, Don Baylor came to the plate to face Todd Worrell. With a man on base, all it would take was 1 swing of the bat from Baylor to tie the game. Fly ball, shallow right. Herr goes out, and in this World Series, there is absolutely no place like home. Worrell picked up his 2nd save. And once again, like magic, another hero emerged from the Cardinal lineup to carry the banner. Tonight, it was Curt Ford.
I was very much displeased with my first 2 at-bats. I felt like I got cheated, and I didn't really have a good swing in either time. So, you know, I just told myself, you know, make sure you don't get cheated and make sure you get a good pitch that you can handle. And I was, like I said earlier, I was very much surprised to see him throw as many fastballs as he did in that situation. I thought maybe if I was going to beat him, that I would have to beat him with his best pitch, which is his curveball.
When the series went back to Minnesota, it seemed to be gaining momentum. The Twins had yet to lose a postseason game in the Dome, and having to win 2 more there instead of in St. Louis went some way towards allaying any old bridesmaid fears from previous championships lost. And for the first World Series day game since 1984, the fans lined up to go inside. Once inside, they transformed themselves into a thunderous chorus for the Twins. But the Cardinals were only 1 win from the championship, and they too were feeling good about their chances. They were loose enough before the game to renew some acquaintances with old teammates. And since there weren't all that many old teammates around, they brought a contingent of some other friends with them. Back on the mound for the Twins was Les Straker, and when Tommy Herr came up to face him in the first inning, Straker was hoping to extend his scoreless string.
In the air to deep right field, and Brunansky looking up at this one, and gone. And so that stills the crowd in a big hurry. Tommy Herr. And had he been in the crowd, it had been a long time since Herr had driven in a run in a World Series game.
Herr's shot finally established some Cardinal home run credentials in the Dome. And with a quick first inning lead and John Tudor on the mound for the Cards, it looked like a very good start. But Dan Gladden got things going just as quickly for the Twins.
That's grounded by Danny Dreesen. It's a fair ball and into the corner. And Ford has trouble, so Gladden is on his way to third, and he's in there.
With Gladden at third, the Twins had a golden opportunity to tie the game with Kirby Puckett coming to the plate.
That's grounded into left field to tie the game.
Designated hitter Don Baylor then came up with Puckett now at second base.
Line into right field for a base hit. Reddick is leaving, Puckett in, and Ford boots it. Baylor takes the turn and holds 2-1.
So the Twins had shown they would not sit idly by and watch their season end. They threatened again in the second with Kent Hrbek at second base.
Pick-off play, nail him. Oh, boy. Talk about wasting an opportunity. Hrbek at second instead of third, and then he gets picked off.
And in spite of 2 more hits in that inning, the Twins didn't score any more runs. In the top of the fourth, Dan Dreesen led off against Straker.
As Dreesen drills one to right field, and Brunansky will have to play it off the canvas. His throw into second is offline. A double for Dreesen to start the 4th inning. And that's drilled into center field for a base hit. Dreesen, after hesitating, is being held at third. And down to second as the throw goes over the head of the cutoff man, Gaetti, goes McGee. A little chopper to the right side. It's going to score a run, and the flip back to Straker. Too late. Everybody's safe. And he gets a high fly ball to right field, and McGee tags. Brunansky on the run, makes the catch, and Brunansky with an off-balance throw way off the mark, and the Cardinals get another run, and down to second goes Pendleton. And the Cardinals are on top by 2.
Straker was knocked out, and Dan Schatzeder came on to try and stop the Cardinal uprising. He got Coleman to fly out, and the inning ended with the Cards leading 4-2. But the Twins' 10th man, the boisterous crowd, knew no lead was safe in their Metrodome. So they began to raise a racket of such intensity that it could practically be seen in case anyone didn't believe their own ears. Kirby Puckett opened the 5th with a single, and Gary Gaetti followed.
And he hits this one down into the left field corner for extra bases. Coleman has it skip away, and then he falls down. Puckett will come in to score on a double. It's 5-3.
And if all the noise in Hankies weren't unsettling enough for John Tudor, he now had to face Don Baylor with Gaetti at second.
To deep left field, and that one is gone to tie it. The late season acquisition from Boston had picked an opportune time to hit his first home run as a Minnesota Twin. The game was back to even, and Ricky Horton was called in from the bullpen as the crowd did a joyous farewell to John Tudor. But the Twins weren't done yet. With Tom Brunansky at second, Steve Lombardozzi stepped in. Line drive, base hit into center field. Here comes McGee. Here comes Brunansky. Here comes the throw. He's safe.
Tony reaching to his right, that took the weight off of his left leg. Consequently, that gave Brunansky, see the lean to the right? That takes the weight off the left leg, and Brunansky is safe.
In the sixth inning, Greg Gagne led off with an infield hit, then Kirby Puckett walked, and both moved up on a passed ball. With first base open, Bob Forsch, on in relief of Horton, walked Don Baylor intentionally to fill the bases, and would now face Tom Brunansky.
It's a big gamble. Brunansky, as you said, has played all year long.
I think I agree with you, Ken. I think I would have pitched to him because if I'm the manager, I'm afraid, all right, let's say Brunansky strikes out or pops out. Now I've got to go to get Daly to face Herbeck to get that third out of the inning, and I'm not sure I want to use Daly in the sixth.
But the first stage of the gamble paid off for the Cardinals when Brunansky did pop up for the second out of the inning.
And two down as Brunansky pops out. Now you've got Herbeck, and now you've got Herzog going out, and now you're going to have Daly coming in here. So here comes Daly to try to get Herbeck with the bases loaded and two out in the sixth.
Just 4 innings after getting picked off second base, Herbeck had redeemed himself several times over. His grand slam was the Twins' second of the series, and they became only the second team ever to hit 2 in a World Series. The 1956 Yankees had done it, and so now had the Twins. There was pandemonium in the dome, and in a sea of homer Hankies, the Cardinals were down by a score of 10-5. Jeff Reardon came on in the ninth, looking to close out a raucous dome victory.
Popped up, Laudner coming over, and the Twins send it to 7.
After 6 games, a home crowd had yet to witness a defeat, and this home crowd was savoring a thrilling come-from-behind victory that had pulled their boys from the brink. Kent Herbeck's grand slam home run had provided the biggest thrill of the day.
We got down, let the opponent beat on us a while, and all of a sudden the crowd picked us up, started chanting, "Go Twins, go," and give us something from one of our bag of tricks that says, "Hey, get yourself up off the carpet and let's go," and gave him a pile driver and tagged off to Reardon, and Reardon came in and
Well, it looked kind of rough. You know, Lester was out there and he was a little shaky, and so we're down early. And Tudor was out there, but Tudor wasn't the Tudor that was in St. Louis. We were getting hits off and we were putting runners on base. And I think it's just being pitching in his ballpark. It was a different atmosphere. It changed it because I'm sure, he feels so comfortable in Busch Stadium.
I felt good today. I felt like I was sharp, but they were sharper. They hit all the bad pitches I made, and they hit all the good pitches I made. It's just it was just a bad day all around.
The 1987 World Series was down to its final day, and as Game 7 drew near, the excitement that had been felt inside the dome was beginning to percolate outside the dome as well.
Some noise tonight, huh? Damn, people are too quiet. Woo! Baseball team in the world! We're the best!
The 1987 baseball season concludes tonight. The 7th game of the World Series under the dome in Minneapolis. The St. Louis Cardinals against the Minnesota Twins. It's McGrain against Viola. I'm Al Michaels, and isn't this the way it should be? You start at the end of February and you finish it on the 25th of October, one game for the championship. This is the 84th World Series. This is the 31st time it has gone to a 7th game, and for what it's worth, 17 of the prior 30 have been won by the visiting teams. No World Series has ever gone the route with the home team winning every game, and certainly the Twins hope to accomplish that tonight. Tim McCarver, you're a man who played in 3 7th games with the Cardinals in 64 and 67 and 68, and certainly the St. Louis Cardinals are no strangers to 7th games.
Well, I should say not. As a matter of fact, the last 7 World Series in which the Cardinals have participated dated back to 1946. All 7 series have gone to 7 games. The odds on that, 3,400 to 1. And speaking of odds, what are the odds on a rookie starting the 7th game of the World Series? Well, in the 10 series that the Cardinals have played 7 games, no rookie has ever started, and tonight it'll be Joe McGrain, the left-hander, on the mound. Joe with an 11-9 record this year, and I don't really believe that it's going to be a problem physically for McGrain tonight. I believe that facing from a mental standpoint, the intense heat that the crowd can put on young players, especially here in the Metrodome, is going to be the major problem.
And if he falters early on 2 days rest, it would be Danny Cox in long relief. Well, Tim played in 3 7th games. Jim Palmer has been a part of a couple of teams, Baltimore, that went to a 7th game on 2 occasions. What's the mood like in the clubhouse before a 7th game?
Well, what's so interesting is about the 2 World Series that I didn't play in, but I watched, which was 1971 and 1979. We were poised to win. We had the right people out there, and we were always thwarted by 1 or 2 players. 1971, Steve Blass beat us 2-1. Roberto Clemente with great hitting, and then in 1979, Scotty McGregor on the mound for the Orioles, Willie Stargell with a home run to beat us. And if you go back to 1965 with the Twins here in Minneapolis, Sandy Koufax on 2 days rest comes out of nowhere to shut him out with 10 strikeouts, 2-0. But the most interesting thing about baseball to me as a former player is when I go back and think about a baseball season, exhibition games, about 30 of them, 162 games that you trudge through, then you battle through a playoff, then you get to a World Series and you find yourself all of a sudden in a 7th game. You know what to do to win, but only one team can win.
Put your feet up and settle back. It's a magical phrase in itself. The 7th game of the World Series. As the Twins took the field for the 500th World Series game ever played, the fans waved their fervent appreciation to the boys who seemed virtually unbeatable in their own ballpark and who had provided them with a memorable season. Frank Viola was on the mound for the 3rd time in this World Series, but after retiring the side in order in the 1st, the Cardinals had something going in the 2nd. With Jim Lindemann at 2nd and Willie McGee at 1st, Tony Pena was at the plate.
Don Kelly told me before the game that they will try to get Pena out with breaking balls. Too many fastballs have been fed to Tony so far in this series.
Another fastball, though, is wrapped into center for a base hit. Lindemann around 3rd comes in to score. Stopping at 2nd is McGee. Cardinals lead 1-0. But it was far too early to despair, as this was the 5th time in the series that the visiting team scored the first run, and a visiting team had yet to win a game. Cardinal backup catcher Steve Lake finally got a chance to start.
Steve's first postseason at bat.
And he hits it into left field for a base hit. So another sudden hero. 2-0 as McGee scores. The beneficiary of that early lead was Cardinal starter Joe McGrain, back after getting shelled here in Game 1. But in the 2nd inning, with Don Baylor at 2nd and Tom Brunansky at 1st, Tim Laudner, one of the stars of Game 2, stepped to the plate with 1 out. That's grounded to the hole for a base hit. Baylor
second.
I'll tell you, it looked like a high tag to me. The ball
Looks like he's safe.
Looks like he's safe, but because the ball beat him, the little short hop and the tag. Yeah, he tagged him high. Yeah, he's safe.
Oh, yeah.
On the play, Brunansky had moved to third, and Steve Lombardozzi was at the plate.
2-0 on Lombardozzi. And that's wrapped into center field for a base hit. Brunansky will come in to score, throw in the second, getting back in there safely is Honder.
The Twins were on the board, though they would score no more runs in the second, and it remained 2-1 until the 5th inning. Then Greg Gagne came to the plate.
Gagne with 1 out. Gagne has struck out twice. To the right side, confusion by Lindemann. McGrain covers, and no, safe. McGrain thought he was there. Wire says no. Lindemann didn't know which way to go. He started at first, then he went for the ball. He didn't know where to be.
Though the replay showed McGrain's foot brushing the bag ahead of Gagne, umpire Lee Wire called him safe. And Herzog lifted McGrain as the crowd serenaded him with a special farewell. The rookie had pitched well over 4 innings, but now the game was in the hands of Danny Cox, the winner of Game 5. He came in hoping to hold on to the lead as he faced Kirby Puckett.
Gagne at first, 1 out. Ripped toward the gap in right center field for extra bases, up against the fence. Gagne around third, on his way in. The game is tied on a double.
And so in the 5th inning of the final game of the season, it was back to even. The Twins had come back again on a hit by the man who had gotten 207 of them this season to tie for the league lead. Over in the Cardinal dugout, distress calls were going out to the bullpen as Danny Cox walked Gary Gaetti to put men at first and second. Then with Don Baylor at the plate, Cox bounced one in the dirt.
It gets away from Lake, and he throws to third, and they get him.
Gaetti advanced to second on the play, and Cox pitched once more to Baylor.
Baylor loops into left field for a base hit. Coleman charges. Here comes the throw home, and he is out. Lake holds the ball. Woo! What a play by Lake. You've got Gaetti coming in full speed, and nobody plays the game like Gaetti. And Steve Lake charged and bruised and battered what keeps the Cardinals tied at 2.
In the meantime, Viola had settled into a groove since the 2nd inning and was now really making sweet music. He was in almost complete control, and in the 3rd and 4th innings, he struck out 4 consecutive batters. He was keeping the Cardinals off the bases, and he was keeping the Minnesota fans smiling with delight. It remained tied 2-2 going into the 6th inning, but with 1 out, Tommy Herr was caught leaning.
And they have Herr picked off. Herbeck to Lombardozzi to Viola. Viola backed up on the play, and Hacker says, how can you possibly call him out?
A fielder cannot block the base paths without the ball. So you have interference, and he's safe.
Outside of that, no problem.
In the bottom of the 6th, things began to crumble for the Cardinals. Walks to Tom Brunansky, Ken Herbeck, and Roy Smalley, who was replaced by pinch runner Al Newman, filled the bases. With Todd Worrell on in relief, Greg Gagne came to the plate.
Ground ball. Wallace stabs it. Throws a one-hopper. Too late. Twins lead.
The Twins had finally forged ahead 3-2, and the Dome crowd was in seventh heaven. They added one more run in the eighth, and the fans, including Twins owner Carl Pohlad, were poised for the ninth inning. In the dugout, Tom Kelly told Frank Viola that he would go with his closer, Jeff Reardon, in the ninth. And with more than 55,000 fans on their feet, leadoff hitter Tommy Herr stepped to the plate.
Center field, shallow. Tuck it on. 1 out.
Kurt Ford would be the next hitter to face Reardon in hopes of keeping the Cardinal chances alive.
Gaetti calling. 2 guys.
Now the fans could barely hold back their joy as Willie McGee came up with nobody on, 2 out, and the Cardinal hopes slipping away.
To Gaetti, for the first time ever, the Minnesota Twins are the world champions.
"26 years after baseball had come to the Twin Cities, Minnesota had won the World Series."
This is a very special thing. They told me a few years ago that they shouldn't have had baseball in Minnesota, and you've made it very real. It's a class organization. It was a great win. Congratulations to you, Colonel.
Very proud of the guys, the way they played. You know, outstanding effort against the Tigers. Very good ball club, and to beat the Cardinals, just an outstanding class organization. We have to feel very proud.
They played a great series, especially in this ballpark, and we had a good ball game tonight. We played about as good as we can play, and we've been very vulnerable to left-hand pitching ever since we lost Jack Clark and then lose Pendleton. And Viola pitched great, and he was a difference tonight because we got the 2 runs in the second inning. We really never had anything else going, and of course, Reardon come in and did what he's supposed to do. But they're an awful good ball club in this building.
There were heroes and standouts on both teams, like Tony Pena, who led all Cardinal hitters with a .409 average. And Vince Coleman, who stole 6 bases in the series, the most since Lou Brock's 7 in 1967. And there was an unlikely hero in Tom Lawless, whose 3-run home run in Game 4 broke the game open. And relief pitcher Todd Worrell, who made 4 appearances and got 2 saves. On the Twins side, Kirby Puckett led all Twins with 10 hits and went 4 for 4 in Game 6. And Dan Gladden, who contributed 9 hits, including a grand slam home run in Game 1. And, of course, Frank Viola, who started 3 games and won 2, including the final game, and was named the World Series Most Valuable Player. And then there were the fans, who were perhaps the real heroes of a series that proved once again that there's no place like home.
My baby waves the homer hanky. My baby waves the homer hanky. Our Twins wave the homer hanky. Start your view, wave the homer hanky. Everybody waves the homer hanky. Our Twins like to touch them all. Off the bat is the big long ball. Their pitcher stands all alone. Carry bags and we stroll on home. My baby waves the homer hanky. My baby waves the homer hanky. Our Twins wave the homer hanky. Start your view, wave the homer hanky. Everybody wave the homer hanky. Everybody wave the homer hanky. Everybody.